about, and that's packaging and distribution.
जीत
Mm-hmm.
और कितने दिन का क्लास है जीत?
2 or 3 sessions. We are towards the end of
Oh,
it only. So some
अच्छा
final
जी, okay.
concepts.
ठीक है, okay.
Okay.
ठीक, हम मैप नहीं करेंगे?
क्या करेंगे?
लिस्ट के बाद एक और ऑब्जेक्ट था ना मैप के लिए, हमको करना था.
Map of records. We can do, one
Yes.
example with that. It's just a data type, right? So we can do one example so that you get an understanding of how to use that. Fine. So talking about packaging and distribution. Okay, what is packaging and distribution? Now, if you have developed an application on your developer org or wherever, enterprise or wherever, if you need to share that application with someone else, right? Now, sharing the application will not mean that the app that you have created that appears in the app menu, we're not talking about sharing that. We're talking about sharing all the functionalities along with it. Functionalities can include visual force pages, validation rules, workflow rules, uh, or any formulas that you have written, the fields, right? So an application contains all these things, right? An application is formed of all these things. There will be objects, fields, validations, user interfaces, page layouts, custom buttons. So many things can be a part of an application, right? So if you have to, take this application from one particular org to the other org, then you'll have to use this packaging and distribution concept. Packaging and distribution is very simple. All that you need to do is create a package. Okay, and how do you do this? You just need to go to setup, create package. That's it. You need to create a package, add components to the package, these components means the components that I was just talking about. Component can be an object, it can be a field, it can be a validation rule, it can be a workflow rule, anything can be a component. Okay, so what all components you want to add to the package, and then you have to just upload it, upload package. After uploading the package, you will get an installation URL. Okay, you will receive the installation URL. Now this installation URL you can share with anyone, and that person can use this installation to install all those components in his developer org or enterprise org or any kind of Salesforce org, right? So let's say if I have designed an application and I want to share it with you, I just have to create a package, add those components to the package, upload the package, and get the installation URL, share it with people like yeah, whoever I want to share it with. Right, so that's the easiest or the simplest way of sharing or transferring an app from one org to the other org, or transferring a few components from one org to the other org, right? If you're working for a client, or even if you're not working for a client, let's say you've developed an application, a very nice application you have developed, and you show it to someone, and that person says that okay, I'm ready to buy this application, I'll pay you certain amount of money and you give me this application. So this is the concept that you'll have to use. Okay, or anyways, if you want to transfer your application from one org to other, this is the way. Okay, let me quickly log in into Salesforce and show it to you how it works.
Jeet,
Mm-hmm.
while you log in, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
It's Jeet, do you know of any company that will let people work with them? And I mean, it's not for a salary or anything, but just as interns to gain experience in India?
Hmm. I mean, you're looking for a big company or a small company?
यार कुछ भी चलेगा, एक्सपीरियंस चाहिए बस. I mean in the sense थोड़ा knowledge चाहिए where we are doing what. बिग कंपनी जरूरत नहीं है, छोटा भी चलेगा.
बिग कंपनी आपको वर्क करने भी नहीं देगा.
हाँ
Unusually, they will not
तो
allow
फिर
it, I
आपका
think.
सवाल ही गलत है. But कुछ भी, I mean somewhere where they are working on a project and if they let people to kind of, even if they don't have to give them work, they can just become a spectator, but just to understand how they go through the whole sales
See,
process.
no one will allow you to become a spectator कि अच्छा ठीक है, I am working and you just sit and watch. Yeah, that may happen if you are paying. But again,
अच्छा जी, okay, even
when
that's fine.
but again, when someone is actually working on a project or something, they might not be that
Mm-mm.
much interested in getting some additional payment also. But someone who is just watching might
Mm.
be disturbing also at times now. You just imagine from you,
Okay.
just think from your point of view. Abhi, if someone comes to you and tells you that okay, you do your office work, I'll sit beside you and watch, you will also feel, not be very comfortable with that. So the only possibility is if you work and you try and give some output. I mean, you can help.
Okay.
That's the only possibility. So
अच्छा, ठीक है. I mean, I'm okay with any scenario, Jeet, because I don't know how things work in India, but I mean, you know the real world better.
so
So
you
my
just want to
question
travel
is,
to India and
would
then
it?
in India you want to do it or from US itself?
No, no, Jeet, मैं travel to India, that is out of question right now, but it's
अच्छा.
somewhere where, yeah, I mean, probably with a WebEx or anything.
हाँ तो if you
Ashwin and
suppose
Shifali, I'm really sorry if I'm taking time, but
no, if you want to do that ways, then to it's that thing to I can only do for you. I can give you certain
अच्छा जी,
assignments and also that too, there are a lot of people who actually help me in my projects and stuff.
अच्छा जी, okay,
But again, this option is open for everyone. But the point is that you will have to make sure that if there is a task which is assigned to you, you take it seriously, do it, spend time on it, try to come up with a solution. Because sometimes I notice that I have given a task to someone. I am
mm,
counting on that person. कि अच्छा ठीक है, this guy is gonna give me
mm,
the task
mm,
tomorrow.
mm.
The other person feels that अच्छा मेरे को salary थोड़ी मिलने का है, तो he actually tries to kind of drags it कि okay, I could not get time and all
हाँ
that
जी,
stuff. So
I know
that's
what you're
a
saying.
challenging thing. So if someone who starts working on it, if the person shows good response, there are people who have actually worked with me on my projects for quite long duration. Not paid one, but वैसे people who are into the final
हाँ
years and all
ठीक है
that stuff.
जीत, I
Who
mean just
have worked. करो आप you tell me your time availability and all that stuff. I have constant requirements. I need people who can work with me. But again, I need serious
अच्छा जी,
people. I mean, I don't need
okay,
people who will just take the requirement and after half an hour or after 1 hour they will send me an email saying that I'm not able to do it. So you have to work hard. Just say how it works in a company. So there is a task which is assigned to you and you should try hard to get the solution as much as possible. Get close to it.
right,
Right? Again, if I only have to
right,
do
right,
everything, then why would I share it with someone, right? That's how it is. So that can be
right,
done.
that makes
Uh,
sense.
You send an email to me with your time availability, and I mean that's something which is for I guess Shefali and Ashwin also. In case you guys feel Shefali already has a project in hand, I don't think she needs this kind of thing. But I'm also not very much aware of Ashwin's situation at this point of time. In case you feel you can be a part of that, but I told you, practically what works. All right.
Right, right. So ठीक है, okay जीत, I'll send you an email.
Yeah. Right.
But जीत, डेवलपमेंट के कुछ मत देना जीत, मैं होपलेस हूँ, बट एडमिन के दे देना.
Okay. That we will see.
Thank
All right. Chalo. So first thing that we'll have to do is we have to create a package. So creating package is like creating a small box and putting everything in that box, and then we are uploading that box. That's how it is, right? So just go to setup, create. packages and say new package. Just give me one quick second. मेरा laptop needs to be charged. 1 minute. Huh? I'll put it on the charger.
Hello.
He's putting his laptop on charging. Ashwin, is that you?
Okay, okay. Yes, yes, yes. Asha.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Got it. So for the package, you just have to give a name. You can call it P1, whatever you want. Save it. So your package is ready. Now all that you have to do is add the components into this package. Adding component is pretty simple. Here you get the option. Add whatever components you want to add in the package. So see, as I told you, everything is a component. Every custom thing that you have created is a component. The default standard things will not be added because those are available in all the orgs, right? So default things you don't need to add. All the custom things are available as components. Let's say some custom objects. We don't have. You want some app, whatever you want to, put as a package, you can add to package. Once it has been added, all that you have to do is you just have to upload it. So it's a 2 minutes job. Just that you need to know which all components you want to transfer from your org to the other org. That's it. Create package, add the components. Version name can be anything. Let's say, let me put it to October 2015. Upload it. That's it. Once the upload is done, you will get an installation URL and you just need to share that installation URL with the other person, with the other party. The other person can use this installation URL to install those components into his org. Okay, so the moment someone clicks on this installation URL, okay. So if you use this installation URL, then what will happen? Um, Here this package already exists, right? That's the reason why I'm not able to install it. But on any other org, it will give you an install button here. Here it will be an install button. You just have to click on this, and installing will create all these components which are part of this package into that org, whichever org you are installing it in. Got it? So that's how simple it is. That's how simple creating a package is.
Now, Jeet, when we are creating a package, what can be included in that package? Is it just
Everything,
in terms of
everything.
okay, like workflows, approval
Workflow,
processes?
validation, approval, visual force
Acha ji.
page layout, whatever you have created. Only the standard things cannot be included. Standard things cannot be included because they are already there in the other org also, right? So any custom object, custom fields, any validation rule that you have defined, workflows that you have defined, pages you have created, classes you have written, triggers you have written, everything, everything.
Okay, and we are not compromising on data anywhere, right, Jeet? Because if we are sending one
Data is not
link,
going. It's only the
okay, it's
metadata which
just
goes. Yes.
okay,
Alright. So it's
okay,
only the
okay,
structure which will go. Your data is actually not going anywhere.
okay, okay,
Alright. Okay.
okay.
Now, on the same lines, there is another thing, another concept called sandboxes. Okay. Any ideas on what's a sandbox? Anyone? Shivali, what's a sandbox?
An environment.
Sandbox is an
It's an
environment.
environment.
So, what kind
Yes,
of environment?
exactly.
Development, testing environment, validation.
शिफाली हाँ आप कुछ बोल रहे थे you were saying something.
Yes, exactly, sir. The same whatever Arshin said.
Do you use
Testing and
Sandbox?
testing. No, no,
You don't use Sandbox?
no.
So Sandbox is basically the development and testing environment. So whatever we are doing in Salesforce, we cannot do it directly on the live environment, right? There is, you know, right now whatever we are working on, it's a developer org. No one else is using it. So for that reason, we write any logic or we just design a validation rule or we define a workflow rule and then we start testing it, right? So we are free to do it because this is something which only we are using. We know that others are not getting affected. Think about a company where people are working, sales team is working. Now you have to create a workflow and test if the workflow is working or not properly. Can you test it on a live environment? By the time you check your workflow rule, by that time there can be a lot of emails which can get sent because the data is getting updated by other users also, right? So on a live environment, we cannot try and test all those things. So for that reason, there is another environment which Salesforce gives you, which is a sandbox. So with a sandbox, what happens? You can design things. Sandbox is the dummy environment, or that as it was talked about, that development and testing environment. So that's only meant for development and testing. And then there is a production environment. So people work on the production, development and testing happens on the sandbox. Once something is developed properly and tested and it's it looks okay, then only that particular uh, component is moved from sandbox to production. Got it? So it's pretty much, if you see the uh, concept is to some extent similar to packaging and distribution, right? Transferring things from one org to the other org, and here you are transferring it from one environment to the other environment. Pretty much similar to it. But for doing this, first of all, we will use the terminology deployment. We call it deployment. Okay. Secondly, we will use another concept called change set. So instead of package, we use here change set. Change set is again collection of components. Because the name is different. Change set. Okay. The problem with Sandbox is that okay, the problem with Sandbox is that you cannot uh, have a sandbox on your developer org. So on the developer org that we are using, we do not have a sandbox option. So, but that should not be a challenge for you guys because I'm going to tell you the steps, and more than the steps, you don't need to know anything for the sandbox thing. So Sandbox looks pretty similar to your normal org that you see. Sandbox also looks exactly the same, just that here at the top right corner, just above your menu bar, sorry, app menu, you will see Sandbox written here. Sandbox, and the name of the sandbox will be written here. Okay, so that's what will be the identifier of a sandbox. Now, to log in into Sandbox, your URL should be test.salesforce.com. So while you're trying to log in into Sandbox, don't use salesforce.com, use test.salesforce.com. Your login name will be your actual login name, which can be, let's say, abcd at xyz.com. Let's say this is your actual login name, dot sandbox name. Okay, so whatever is the sandbox name, that name has to be there. So your login name will become like this. Your actual login name which you used for salesforce.com dot sandbox name. Fine. Password you can set as per your convenience. Okay. Now the process of deployment. So once you have logged in into Sandbox, after that, working on things on Sandbox is exactly the way it happens here. The same way you can create objects, fields, validations, workflows, whatever is there. Okay. Now the process of deployment includes what once you have created, tested everything you have done, how do you deploy it to the production? So I'm just going to give you the process step by step. If you know this, you will be able to do any deployment required, and you will be able to talk about interview questions in case required. In case someone asks you, can you just tell me how things are deployed from the sandbox to production? You will be able to talk about it. Number one is the process of deployment. The first step will be go to setup. I'm assuming that you are ready with the components. Then you just need to go to setup, deploy, outbound change set. Okay, and under that you will click on new and create a change set. It's exactly the same way as a package works. Second step, you will add components to change set. Okay. The second is you will add the components to the change set. Third is upload the change set. Okay. In this case, you will not get an installation URL. So on the sandbox, what you have done, you have gone to let me put it on Sandbox. So whatever you're doing is on the Sandbox. Okay, develop your things, build your application, whatever you want to build, test it. After that, go to setup, deploy, outbound change set, new, create new change set. Then go to add components to change set, upload the change set. Now go to the production. On production environment, log out of Sandbox and go to production environment. So the change set that you have uploaded from here, that you will have to go to production and receive it. That's it. So again, you in the production, you just need to go to setup, deploy, inbound change set. Okay, select the change set. In the inbound change set, you will see the change set which was sent from here. Okay, let's say change set name is S1. So here you just need to come and select the change set S1 and install it. That's it. That's how simple it is. Fine. So from the sandbox, you just have to do an outbound change set. From the production, you just have to do an inbound change set. That's it. Right? So concept wise works pretty similar to packaging and distribution, but packaging and distribution is for two different orgs. Sandbox production is for related orgs, two environments of the same company. Correct? So there the connection is already there. So you don't have to worry on that part. Clear? Let me know if there is any question or doubt here. understanding this?
Jeet?
Please वो पैकेजिंग जब
Yeah, any one of you can go ahead.
yeah,
Yes.
you go ahead.
Acha, thank you. Jeet, now when we buy a license, we get access to Sandbox and to Sandbox environment and to production, is it? I mean, by
Right.
default, does everyone get access?
By default, does everyone get access to Sandbox? No.
Okay.
So, it's a matter of, first of all, Sandbox is also not there by default. You'll have to create the Sandbox.
Acha ji, okay.
And creating Sandbox option is usually available under your administrator should ideally create the Sandbox. It's available under setup data management, and then there is Sandbox. So that's where
Acha.
he,
Okay.
that Sandbox creating option will be there. So you'll have to create the Sandbox and enable it for users, and those users will be able to log in into it.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And now, Jeet, I know there are two types of sandboxes, right? One
There are
is
four
full
types of Sandbox.
sandbox. Okay.
There are four
Okay.
types of sandboxes. So, uh, okay, types of sandbox. I'll just talk about. I am still to talk about that. Apart from that,
Uh,
in
okay,
this
Jeet,
process
now
and all.
before,
Hmm.
now before we move from sandbox to production,
Hmm.
are we making like, is there any chances of something going wrong? And are we supposed to take any backup just as a precaution, or it is just a
No,
smooth flow?
no. I mean, backup is to be taken for data, right? You are not moving data here. It's all metadata. Metadata का क्या backup करेंगे हम लोग?
Okay.
Right.
यार इंटरव्यू में एक क्वेश्चन पूछा था उसने
Is
और
it?
मैंने बोला हाँ, and then I went, he gave me the link also, and that link बोलता है कि बैकअप लेना है, फिर वैलिडेट करना है डेटा को, फिर यार बहुत दिमाग खराब कर रहा था वो.
So backup is important only if you are dealing with the data. Okay.
Okay.
Till the time you are dealing with metadata, ideally, not required that much until and unless you are, working on something which is very complex, or the client is, very particular about that. Okay, I don't want anything wrong to happen and all that stuff. Metadata backups usually we don't work that way.
Okay. Okay. ठीक है.
All right.
ठीक है. And Jeet, when you are doing this, you make sure that no one logs into the system, right? To ensure that everything gets smoothly. So you kind of roll out a maintenance, is it? Saying
Yeah.
that okay, okay,
Yes.
okay,
Because ideally, again, depends, every company or every team will not follow the same steps, but ideally
right.
what should happen is, you know after moving it to the production also, you guys should do a small test on the production as well, a
Okay,
small,
okay,
end user testing kind of thing. So that, I mean, once I moved it to the production, after that I will also try to check it with a couple of records on the production also, that if it is working fine or not. So maybe, create a couple of dummy records on the production environment and test it. That now it is
okay,
working. Though it worked absolutely okay on the sandbox, is it okay working properly on the production also? Once that is also done, then you allow your users that okay, fine, go ahead and start using it. The functionality is working absolutely okay, right?
okay.
So that is
Now, in a sandbox, do you have a validate button, Jeet?
in the,
Sandbox, before
yeah,
you move
that's,
it from.
yeah, that's validate is before you install it. That's validate button is the install thing also.
Acha ji. Okay. So what does a validate button do? Does it check whether it's a proper code and whether it's going to give us zero errors? Is that what it'll do?
Yeah, so validate button will actually,
Okay.
validate all the components that you are bringing in here. It will check it for all kind of errors or any duplicates which you are trying to move, it will check for everything and it will just get it validated that okay, whatever you're trying to move the components, those components are okay to be moved here. Correct? So
Acha
if you're
ji,
trying to move a
okay.
field which is already existing, if you're trying to move a code which is not correctly written, so those things will be validated there.
Acha. Jeet, I don't know if my question is right or wrong, but I have this app. It's a project management app that I downloaded, which is free. But if I have to make changes to that app, do I still have to do it in a sandbox? And can I move it to that app?
No, tell me again, what is that?
नहीं अभी एक like when you go to that app exchange market, right?
Uh-huh.
So I downloaded an app which is the project management app.
Uh-huh.
Now, so we're just trying to see if everyone can start using it. It's free of cost. But the only question is, if I have to make changes to that app, do I have to make those changes first in the sandbox and then deploy, or can I make changes in that app? Is it similar to what? Is
It
it similar to other apps?
Yeah, so when we are talking about installing an app from App Exchange, that's more like a package, okay, that you have installed.
अच्छा जी, okay,
The same
okay,
concept that we have just talked about in the package, right? So that app basically brings in a few components along with it. So same way, I can also give you my app, or you can download it from App Exchange or from wherever you're getting. The components are getting installed. Now,
mm,
whether the component has come from App Exchange app, or it has come from someone else, or you have developed that doesn't matter. In fact, you'll have to see whether you're okay to make changes on the production. Is it something which is going to affect others? Okay. So that's
okay,
something which you'll have to look into. If you feel that no, your company is okay with it and you are okay to make a few changes in the object directly on the production, it should be okay. So
अच्छा,
that's
okay,
a call that you'll have to take, whether you directly want to do certain changes on the production itself, or you want to go to the sandbox and then do it, right?
okay, okay,
Let's say
ठीक,
if I have to create one more field in account.
mm,
So I mean, it depends on me and my company where how they are okay. If they say that okay, create it straight away, then it's fine. If they my company feels that no, there are 200 users who are using it, everyone will get confused what that field is about, so we cannot create it just like that. Let's first of all create it and then test it, and finally we will move it with a proper process that can be done. But
okay.
it so depends.
Now, these sandboxes are not related to apps, right? Irrespective of the app that you're working in, your sandbox, you can still move the components to any app, right?
Move components to any apps as in.
देखो अभी organization में give you an example of our organization. So there are two different apps that we work on. One is the event management app, the other one is the LCRM app. So
Mhm.
now if I make any changes, or if I do any modifications in Sandbox, can I go ahead and deploy them on any of these two apps?
Okay. Anyone who wants to answer this based on your understanding? She's saying, can we deploy changes from
Can you
one
just
sandbox
repeat
to
it,
the app?
Asha? Like, I want to make it clear.
Yeah, Asha, please repeat it.
Yeah, yeah. Ashwin, now in my organization, we work on two apps. One is the event management app and the other one is the
Okay.
LCRM app.
Mhm.
So basically, event management is only dealt by the event management team, and the LCRM is pretty much for all the entire organization. Now,
Okay.
my question is, in a sandbox, if I create any components, can I deploy it to any app irrespective, or should it be app specific? Like if I
Yeah.
create one component, let's say I do a one workflow, can I use that workflow in both these apps, or can I just use it only in one app? I think I can. I think we can use
You
it in
can do
both.
it.
But
See, you got the answer on your own. So
It's not
there
app
are
perspective, right?
right. So Asha, you repeated the question twice and you got the answer. Sometimes it's just that we are not actually logically thinking on certain things, which actually brings in these questions. environment specific है, app itself is a component. So why will it be specific to a certain app?
Right, right.
Abhi, it's more like a godown and a showroom, right? Abhi,
Mm,
when you bring something from the godown or from the warehouse to the showroom, now that product which is being brought in into the showroom, we cannot have a condition that okay, in the showroom you will have to keep me on the first row or the second row. It's being moved
mm,
from the warehouse to the showroom. That's it. Now wherever it
okay,
has to go and stay in the showroom, that depends on that depends on the person who is decorating the showroom. So that's it. Production and
right.
that environment. It has got nothing to do with app.
अच्छा जी, okay.
Got it?
Yeah जी.
Okay.
Thanks, Jeet.
So
Uh, Keith,
yeah, Shafari.
can you go up, Mills, in this note part of it?
Yes. Here.
Yes. Yeah, Jeet, in packaging, we got installation URL, right?
Hmm.
Uh, फिर ये चेन सेट में अगेन व्हाई दिस कलेक्शन ऑफ कंपोनेंट्स बिकॉज जब हम पैकेजिंग कर रहे हैं वहां भी हमको वी
So
आर एडिंग
packaging and distribution.
कंपोनेंट्स
See, concept is same. Concept is same. You have certain components, you want to send it from one org to the other org, right? But packaging and distribution will happen for completely different orgs. Sandbox deployment will happen only for connected orgs. Your company's production and sandbox, their only change set will work, right? You got my point. So if your
नो
company has
जीत
a production and sandbox, then you can use change set for that. But if it is your company's org versus my company's org, you want to send something from your org to my org, those are not sandbox production, right?
हाँ
Got it? So that is it. There you need packaging.
जीत एक्चुअली मैं थोड़ी कंफ्यूज हो रही हूँ मतलब अगर हम फ्रॉम स्क्रैच वी वांट टू
अब
स्टार्ट
आपको अपने घर
लेट्स से
में
वी
किसी को
हैव
कुछ,
वन ऐप मतलब एक ऐप
okay,
है
let
हमारे
me give
पास
you an
बन
example.
के
1 second, let me give you a simple example. आपको अपने घर में किसी को कुछ बोलना है तो आप कैसे बोलते हो? बैठे बैठे बोल देते हो ना,
हाँ
ये खाना खाना है या कुछ भी, whatever message, right?
हाँ
Because both of you are
हाँ
on the
हाँ
same place, correct?
हाँ हाँ
Sandbox deployment, sandbox production is like that. Both the environments are connected orgs, okay? Same org environments are there, right? So in that case, change set can be used. So change set, one place you have created an outbound change set, other place you are receiving that inbound change set. You don't have to generate the installation URL, right? Now think about, if you have to send a message to someone else who is, let's say staying in US, then you will write a letter or an email or something. That's what packaging is, because it is not connected. So you have to upload it and then you will have to generate the installation URL. So this is for orgs which are not connected. Does that make sense?
This my confusion is only कि if we want to release any app, so
Hmm.
what would means we first package it, then deploy and sandbox production sort of things, or what? I got confusion there only.
Release an app as in
I
within
mean,
your company.
we develop anything, any app, okay, in developer edition. सब कुछ
So
ठीक लग रहा है,
in
यूनिट टेस्ट
developer
वगैरह हो
edition,
गया.
okay. See again,
हाँ
try to find the answer to within your question itself. In developer edition, so there is no concept of sandbox itself. Whatever you have to send to someone else has to be through production, right? Yes, through packaging. Sandbox concept comes only if you are working in a company which has a sandbox and which has a production and they want to move things from sandbox to production. You work in company. Your company has two orgs. One is sandbox, one is production. Okay, that this is one scenario. Another scenario is Shefali, developer org, and Jeet, developer org. Okay. Now, if you have to send something from here to here, what approach will you use? What approach are we going to use from here to here? लो भाई ऑफलाइन चले गए. Hello Shefali, you there? She is offline. मेहनत से स्केच बनाया. Okay. Chalo. But by the way, clear with you guys exactly the difference between when will we do a packaging and when will we do change set, right?
Yeah, because
Yes.
as
Change
per
set will only
what
work if you are moving things within your company. So
mm,
these
mm,
are
mm,
connected dots, and packaging will
mm,
work for rest of the from your company to any other.
right.
I think Shefali is back. Shefali, you there? Hello, Shefali, can you hear me? Looks online, but पता नहीं शायद नहीं connect हुआ अभी. All right. So that's basically the concept about our sandboxes. Now there are four types of sandboxes. If you have to quickly go into the types of sandboxes. One is developer sandbox. Second is developer pro. Third is partial copy. Fourth is full sandbox. So developer and developer pro sandbox basically have dummy data inside them, not the actual data. Okay, in the sandbox you will have sample data, not actual data. But partial copy and full sandbox will have the actual data inside the sandbox. Okay. In partial copy you will have uh, not full of the actual data, but a part of the actual data. So not all the records. In full copy sandbox or in a full sandbox you will have all actual data, so that your testing can happen properly, right? You can do a thorough testing with actual records and all that stuff, right? So for testing purposes, these two sandboxes are recommended. For development purpose, these two sandboxes are recommended, right? And developer pro sandbox basically has a little more storage capacity. So data in both of them will be sample data, but a developer pro will have a little more storage capacity. Okay, so that's the concept about types of sandboxes. Four types of sandbox: developer, developer pro, partial copy, full sandbox.
It,
See,
like
but
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
yes, Ashra.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead, Ashwin, please.
If the full sandbox means it kind of a validation environment, which we call it as
What is validation environment? I don't know.
like QA develop. Before production, we call it as QA validation environment.
Okay. So this is basically a complete replica of your production environment along with the data, right?
Okay, okay,
So
yes,
that's if that's what you mean with DVA, so that's exactly correct.
yes,
Yeah. So that you
exactly,
can actually
exactly.
do the testing on the real-time records and everything, right?
Yes,
That's how it is.
yes.
Yeah, that's correct.
Jeet, actually I got disconnected, so
So we just talked
I
about four types of sandboxes. So four types of sandboxes में there is developer, developer pro, partial and full sandbox. Okay. The first two sandboxes that you see have dummy data. Sandbox, in the sandbox there has to be some data also, right? Because we are talking about development and testing. So in the first two sandboxes you have dummy data, not the actual data. In the second two sandboxes, the partial and full copy sandbox, there is actual data. The full sandbox has all the actual records, full copy of the actual sandbox, of the production environment. In partial copy sandbox, you have partial data, okay, not the entire data from the production, but partial data, but this is also real data, right? So difference is this has dummy data, this also has dummy data with increased storage. Partial copy sandbox has partial actual data, and full sandbox has all actual data. So that's how it is.
जी तो डेटा लोडर काम करता है क्या सैंडबॉक्स एनवायरनमेंट में?
डेटा लोडर काम करेगा सैंडबॉक्स एनवायरनमेंट में, यस काम करेगा.
अच्छा जी, ओके.
ऑलराइट, क्लियर?
हाँ जी, एक्चुअली मैं बहुत कंफ्यूज हूँ अभी भी
किस चीज
पूरे
पे?
कंसेप्ट को लेकर.